briefly, we'll talk about the whole transfer portal situation here, all the transfer portal buzz. Well, last week we talked about this on the podcast. I said Bryce Underwood's development is with Kyle Whittingham, and now he officially is staying in Ann Arbor, which I thought was a no-brainer. I think this makes total sense for Bryce Underwood. Get some more experience under your belt. Don't enter the portal because, of course, all these guys now are just entering the portal. So what this means for Michigan, Underwood's decision gives Michigan stability at the most important position, something many programs wish they had right now in the portal era. Yeah, this is huge to retain your second-year quarterback. Now this is a massive year for Bryce Underwood. If I said Bryce Young again, I'm sorry. I don't know why I keep saying that. So that's how I'm feeling about that. Next thing briefly we'll say is Zachariah Branch has officially declared for the NFL draft. He was, a high fly playmaker out of Georgia this year, transferred from USC to Georgia. You saw him this year. So, my thing about Zachariah Branch is he's not a day one guy. He's more of a day two guy. I don't see him going past day three just because his playmaking ability and his ability in open space, really. And a team could use him. Patriots could use him. That's just a team that comes to mind for me, obviously being a fan, but just how they don't really have a lot of playmakers. The Jets, there's a lot of teams that could use a guy like that. He's fast. He had 811 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns. And yeah, I mean, he slips into the first round late. Who knows? It all depends on these guys' combines. Like you saw Xavier Worthy 2 years ago go into the first round because of his speed, right? Like he's not the greatest route runner, but he's extremely fast. Of course, you saw the whole Keon Coleman trade up there. So this one here is really interesting. Brendan Sorsby has officially committed to Texas Tech. Well, we saw a couple weeks ago there were rumors, there was the buzz about that, but now he's officially committed to Texas Tech. Which is even crazier to me is the fact that Brendan Sorsby is making more money than Shedeur Sanders he's in college football compared to Shedeur Sanders' NFL rookie contract. And that's what I was saying earlier about Ty Simpson. It's like these guys are going to sit back there and they're going to go, why should I go to the NFL when I'm either one, I know I'm not ready, and two, I'm going to get the bag in college. And I'm not probably going to play right away. So why not? Now, this is absolutely insane if you ask me. The fact that Sorsby's making more money than Shedeur is absolutely insane. But it's a historic deal because now college football is actually eclipsing actual NFL pay. And I think personally, this isn't the largest contract you're going to see in the coming years. All these schools have money. I wouldn't be shocked in the next 2 to 3 years, maybe even less than that. You're going to see quarterbacks get in the 8 to 10 million range, or even big playmakers like that. Quarterback, of course, is the most important position on the field, but that's what you're going to start to see with these players. You just saw Texas Tech being aggressive. They're like, well, the performance we just put out there against Oregon in the college football playoff in these semifinals is not what we want to be able to put out. And if we have the money, we're going to pay for the second best transfer portal quarterback in the portal. And that's Brendan Sorsby from Cincinnati. So for them, this makes total sense. And I think the days with college football of you being a fan or people being a fan of I'm a fan of Texas Tech. Well, we have really not been that good. Well, you're going to get better because you guys have a lot of money and players are going to want to come there because these players, like Deion Sanders even said, they're not chasing legacy. They're chasing the money. And you know what? I understand that. But back then it wasn't like this. It's a total different landscape now. We've talked about this on the podcast before. It's all about the money now. It's just like baseball. It's like, can you afford me? Well, that school over there is going to give me $6 million. You're going to give me $3 million. I'm going there. So there's really no continuity anymore. That's why it's hard to build a championship program. It really is. I mean, you see all the players entering the portal and how many players, I think it's 31% of the college football right now is in the portal, which is absolutely insane because the season is still going on. It's mind blowing. It really blows my mind. Well, the next one we have a transfer portal segment we're talking about. Austin Simmons transferred from Ole Miss to Missouri. Austin Simmons transferring from Ole Miss to Missouri is an absolute no-brainer. They saw that he knew that Trinidad Chambliss was going to be coming back or he wouldn't have done this. Now, good for Austin Simmons because he showed flashes at Ole Miss. I'm happy for him. He goes to Missouri, and he's a 6'4", lefty guy. Of course, he had the no-contact tag, and Missouri was like, yeah, that's our guy for this upcoming season. And it's just an absolute circus with the transfer portal. So he saw that, Trinidad Chambliss was going to be coming back. And it was unfortunate for him because he got hurt in week 2. And since then he lost his job. Now, it's not really his fault, but it'll be interesting to see how he does at Missouri. Excited for that. However, though, that's the new landscape of it. It's crazy. It's like Trinidad Chambliss has doesn't technically, he has 1 year left of eligibility. We're waiting to see if he gets granted. He posted an Instagram thing, so I'm sure he's going to be coming back. But that was the next thing. Trinidad Chambliss coming back. So yeah, Trinidad Chambliss is going to be his 6th year next year. Of course, Austin Simmons is going to Missouri now, and it's Trinidad Chambliss' team. And I remember last month on the podcast, I said, well, Austin Simmons, Trinidad Chambliss could be going to LSU and following Lane Kiffin's footsteps. Now, this was before the playoff. Now, the position that they're in, potential to win a national championship, the first in school history, realistically, not the ones that they claim. However, though, yeah, it's interesting because he has technically 1 year left of eligibility if the NCAA grants it, which I'm sure they're going to. Like I said, he posted the Instagram picture of him saying he's going to be back. And that's exactly why Austin Simmons entered the portal. It's kind of a no-brainer from there, but I saw this one here as well. Giants rumor mill, Charlie Weis linked to Jackson Dart. Charlie Weis Jr. is not going to the NFL. I know he's with Ole Miss right now, and he's potentially, we'll see if they beat Miami, but coaching his last game with Ole Miss, he's already prepped for LSU. Charlie Weis Jr. is not going to the NFL. Why in the world would he go and do that when he has the opportunity? Now he's going to be signed. He already signed his contract at LSU, so that doesn't make any sense for him to go to the NFL. I know the connection with Jackson Dart because he was the OC when Dart was at quarterback there at Ole Miss last year, but it makes absolutely zero sense from Charlie Weis Jr. to go from college to the NFL. I don't think it makes any sense, really. He's already set to be LSU's OC, and it's interesting that Ole Miss is letting him coach the quarterfinal, and I think that they know, they're like, well, we need Charlie Weis Jr., so he's got to be coaching on Thursday. But we talked about that there. Byron Brown going to Auburn. I remember we talked about this last month, saying that Byron Brown was going to be going to Auburn. I feel like it was a no-brainer, honestly, for Byron Brown to go to Auburn. He's comfortable with his former head coach in Alex Golish. They're going to be able to give him a bag. Of course, he entered the portal from Auburn or from USF. I didn't think any other team was really contacting him. I'm surprised he didn't enter the portal with the do not contact on him, like Levitt and Austin Simmons, because it was a no-brainer that he was going to Auburn. I'm excited to see Byron Brown in the SEC. He had a great career at USF, and of course the competition is a lot higher in the SEC. But reuniting with your former coach is always a good thing, and it'll be interesting to see how he does for Auburn. I mean, he got the absolute bag, which I knew he was. Obviously, before, we didn't know if Golish was going to be leaving, and then of course he did, and then he entered the portal. So it was like we were just waiting for all that to come about. Of course, Cam Coleman's in the portal now as well. He had a dinner or a visit with Texas, so that'll be interesting. If they can get Cam Coleman back and you get Byron Brown, that's huge for them. Kawan Lacey coming back to Ole Miss next year. I thought that was a no-brainer as well, and it just makes sense. I feel like these Ole Miss players, they just love playing with one another. And Ole Miss has money. They're not poor, but they don't have LSU money. So, that's significant considering former Ole Miss coach Lane Kiffin moved on to LSU, and some expected the players to follow. But I think from all the reports that came out and some of the players even tweeting of stuff that they've said, they're like, we want no part of Lane Kiffin. Lacey was the first team All-SEC back in 25, finishing third nationally with 1,464 rushing yards and 23 touchdowns. He had a great season. Of course, he had that wacky fumble against Georgia. Hopefully, Kawan Lacey's healthy against Miami. That's another thing, is Ole Miss can be able to run the ball effectively against that Miami front seven. Well, this one here, it's kind of for my Gator fans out there. Shout out to UF. They just signed Aaron Philo this morning. It's so weird when you say signed in college football, but that's the new landscape now. Well, the whole $1 million running back situation with Jaden Baugh. Well, they just signed Evan Pryor this morning from Cincinnati, Ohio State, former running back from those two schools there. And personally, I don't see Jaden Baugh coming back to Florida. I know they've had meetings with him, but at this point, now you just signed him. And Pryor definitely is an emergency type back, but Texas is going to be throwing the bag at him. Ohio State's going to be throwing the bag at him. And the landscape now, it's like there's only so many players you can pay. And this is what I was talking about to people. College football needs a salary cap. Now, I know that they say there's the $20.5 million cap on each team. That's a bunch of garbage. We all know that's not true. There's plenty of college football teams and rosters that are way over that cap. Until they figure out a way to figure out a salary cap situation, this will be continuing to happen. So Jaden Baugh, I doubt he comes back to Florida. I know he had a great year for the Gators last year for our program, but I don't see him coming back. Texas is going to throw the bag at him. Texas, of course, had Wisner into the portal, and he went to FSU yesterday. They had a couple other running backs into the portal, CJ Baxter. So I think the runway is clear for Texas to offer Jaden Baugh. And if I'm Jaden Baugh, why not go get the bag? Like, these players have to do what's best for them. I've said this repeatedly that they've got to do what's best for them. So if he does officially enter the portal, because he hasn't yet, he could be one of the most highly ranked players overall and a huge priority for programs needing a featured back. I think it's down to Texas and Ohio State, if you're asking me. But beyond ball, this trend shows running backs traditionally are undervalued at the NFL level. Yeah, it does. Now they have real leverage in college thanks to NIL and the portal dynamics. Yeah, I know the whole conversation we've always had is NFL running backs are underpaid. They're not valued as much. Well, in college football, they're valued because look at the money he's getting at $1 million. He might even get more from Texas or Ohio State. It's insane to think about that you have a running back that is making this kind of money, but that's the nature of college football now. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was Dallas Wilson staying at Florida. When I first saw this, I was like kind of confused. I'm like, well, Gators, we don't have a quarterback, so why would he want to stay? But then again, I thought to myself, well, he gets to line up next to Vernell Brown, and I don't know if he had other people contacting him because they weren't really saying anything. Like, I was just curious to see him. I mean, I don't know what his contract is for Florida. I'm sure it's nice. I'm sure it's hefty. But Wilson was a 5-star coming out last year. Of course, they said he wanted to be closer to home. He wanted to play with Lagway. Of course, now Lagway is gone. So I'm excited. I hope he can stay healthy this year, because if he can stay healthy, he's a force to be reckoned with. I mean, you saw this in the Texas game. He showed flashes, but he just really couldn't stay healthy. Even in the offseason last year, he wasn't able to stay healthy, and that was the biggest concern. It was like, well, of course, we lost Lagway. Napier's gone. There's a lot of, things going on. The Florida Gators, program. Is Wilson going to want to stay for this? He's here. Of course, you had Trey Wilson into the portal. So I'm super excited for that. We, got Aaron Philo as well this morning, and people were asking me about Aaron Philo. I don't really know a lot about this guy. But personally for me, the way I want this to go for this offseason is Tramel Jones and Aaron Philo competing for the starting job. And that's what I think it's going to be. And I think Tramel Jones deserves a shot as well, just as much as Aaron Philo. I'll be curious to see who will be the starter named day one. I think that they've got their quarterbacks, and 8 games over 2 seasons, he completed 57.8 of his passes. He's not the long-term guy at Florida. I would have, obviously you would like a bigger name, Sam Levitt, Hoover, Sorsby, but I don't think Florida wants to go in that direction right now. I think they like the guys that they have. And of course you had Georgia Tech's OC come from Georgia Tech. So now Philo follows, which I saw reports a couple weeks ago that Philo was going to be coming to Florida. But I hope Tramel Jones does get a shot, and I hope there is a quarterback competition coming into this new season, this offseason, because who doesn't love a quarterback competition? So if you're asking me, I'm super excited to see who the Gators will be naming their quarterback starter day one.